Hidden Gems of DFW is a video podcast to help marketing professionals as well as newbies learn the art of marketing and finding the treasures that help a small business grow. This podcast will be filled with gems and treasures in the DFW area from some of the best guests in the business. And even if you are not in the DFW area, these treasures will work for you. And now get ready for the Hidden Gems of DFW podcast with Chris O'Connor. Hi everyone, I'm Chris O'Connor with Hidden Gems of DFW, and we are recording something really cool today. Something very different, something that I'm not familiar with, as well as I'm actually learning about. But we've got somebody new in the studio today. I just met her when we walked in. We've been connecting on the phone and via email and via something else, which we'll talk about. I didn't want to blow it right there. I almost did. But I'm very excited to introduce our guest. Her name is Allyson Johnson, and her company is Sip Saver Sisters. Try to say that 3 times fast. Anyways, welcome, Allyson. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and it's a beautiful sunny day. It's beautiful outside. It's beautiful in the studios, and we're going to talk a little bit about her journey and where she's been and how she's arrived to Sip Saver Sisters. So tell us about yourself.
Well, I was born in McKinney, Texas. So born in the area, yes, and didn't live there very long though. So I've kind of lived all over Texas, South Texas, and in the Hill Country. My parents ended up more around the Austin area, Temple, Texas, that kind of area. So grew up there, went to Baylor. So I'm a Baylor Bear, and the whole family pretty much was. I didn't have a lot of options.
Kind of forced,
It was kind of forced to go there. So anyway, so did that. Basically went to Houston and worked right out of college, and decided I did not have enough education. I wanted to spend more money at a degree, so went and got a graduate degree in psychology and counseling, and then also got another one in education and administration. So that was kind of fun. And then I totally went into something different again. So I love to learn, but I really like creative sides, and I also love business. So I have a lot of interest, I admit, but everything I throw myself into, I try to learn it really well and do it well. And then eventually got married, had 3 kids, and was a stay-at-home mom. But then I was bored, opened my own business for about 10 years, moved to Colorado, moved back from Colorado, and I've been back here since 2018. And started a food blogger page truly by accident, by chance. So,
well, I wouldn't call it by accident. There's always reasons. Like in my first video that I posted, I was a school teacher. I had 650 kids that I dealt with. Right. I didn't know that was leading me towards business and how to deal with 650 kids a week. Of course, it wasn't all in a day, but spread that out between 5 days. That's a lot of kids, every hour, and different ages and different energy levels and different mouths. So, but we had a lot of fun. But it sounds like you've traveled quite a bit, and locally in the area. I love the Hill Country. That's really
I do too. I mean, I would love to have a place out there someday.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of the Hill Country. I like a lake lifestyle as well.
Yes.
I grew up on a lake in Kingsland, Texas for a little while there, and used to water ski. So my kids, we take them to the lake quite a bit because it's a fun thing. But I just love Texas. I mean, my parents were very into Texas. We did road trips every weekend. We went all over Texas. So I just love the culture here. And I really like a lot of the smaller towns, the mentality of people and getting to know them.
And Texas creates a lot of small businesses.
Yes.
And a lot of small businesses thrive throughout the different areas of Texas and the country, really.
Definitely.
A lot of people really learn how to grow. You're in a small town, you got to figure it out, right?
Right.
I mean, not everybody lives in Dallas or Fort Worth or Austin. There's a lot of small towns down in that area. So you've got to figure out how to grow a business. And well, I think we have a lot in common because I grew up on a lake in Wisconsin, not Texas.
Which is beautiful,
But,
like the land of many lakes. It's so gorgeous. So yeah.
So, moved a lot. I've been to Colorado, been to Texas. I've also lived, obviously, in Oregon, where my son was born, and Virginia and Michigan, Ohio. I've lived a lot of places, a lot of states, but landed in Texas 20 some years ago.
We're glad to have you. Very much so.
I'm excited to be here. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, and just learning to grow this business too. And my whole goal is to bring people on and guests on that have gone through a lot of different things. And I have many different interests. I think the world and the public does have many interests. So leading to where you are with Sip Saver Sisters is blogs don't happen by accident.
That's true. That's very true. I thought it was by accident. I mean, I thought it was just a day that my sister and I were having lunch and having a cappuccino that was beautiful that I was going to take a picture of. So in that way, it felt like an accident because we just weren't thinking anything would come of it. But yeah, it did. There was a purpose there, and you saw that happen. And, referring back to your small business a little bit, I mean, a lot of my life has been myself creating my own businesses. And it's amazing because I never really had anybody tell me I can't do that. I know people do hear that, but I just never really heard that. Or if I guess they said it, I didn't listen because most of my life when there's very few times where I worked for big corporations or in big jobs, I was usually creating my own work life. And I still tell people and my kids all the time, you are never too young, never too old to pursue your dreams or your goals or what you want to do with your life. So don't stop,
Absolutely. And, what's important is just came out of a really good seminar, a 3-day seminar. And one of the speakers, Lisa Nichols, I'm not real familiar with her, but boy, I sure want to follow her. And she just kept drilling in my head. Obviously, there was like 30,000 people attending it. Of course, it was online, or 20,000. I don't know. It was a lot of people. And she just kept saying, and I've heard this my whole life, but didn't really resonate with me. Quitters never win. Winners never quit.
Yeah.
And, when you've got people kind of not in your favor,
right.
Supporting you, your family, your friends tend to say, oh, that's stupid. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're never going to make it. You're never going to make it. And don't believe them.
No.
Just don't believe them. Quitters never win. Winners never quit. And as a lot of you know, I've been going through some big changes this year, and this is one of the best things that I feel that I'm doing right now, and I'm very excited to be part of this and bring new people to help you guys grow your small businesses. So with that, we're going to take a 2-minute or a minute break, and we'll be back shortly to learn more about Sip Saver Sisters. Hi, I'm Chris O'Connor with Hidden Gems of DFW, and we are back with our exciting guest, Allyson Johnson with Sip Saver Sisters. And I'm so excited. I said that 3 times without tripping over it because, let me tell you, I practiced it a lot. Anyways, Allyson, I'm so excited that you're here. We're going to talk about Sip Saver Sisters, what it is, Instagram, maybe a couple tips I'm hoping she can give us on Instagram.
What I know.
Let us hear about Sip Saver Sisters.
All right. Well, so Sip Saver Sisters is a page on Instagram. It is a food blogging page, basically, where mainly my sister and I started it, but mainly I go out and I go to restaurants, different places. Some I've invited to, some I go on my own, take pictures of beverages, food, appetizer, pretty much anything in the food and beverage industry. I do get invited some for travel now, and that's kind of growing, as well as events, food and beverage events. And I just post about it. And I usually write something about the event and what it was like, what the food was like, what I had. You tag the restaurants, you tag people who were there with you, things like that. And And then you have a number of followers and they all see it. But then sometimes it goes out to a lot of other people too that aren't following you. And they're able to see it and like it. And it just gives people ideas where to go to eat, and what to order when they get there, or some of the upcoming events in town. So it's just a fun way. And they're seeing it real time. They're seeing somebody like me who's just, I'm a mom, I'm an average person out, and this is kind of how I enjoy it at this place. So.
Well, what's nice about your pictures, and I've been following you for a little while, I don't know, a month or so, not super long, but what's nice about your pictures is they are real. They're not photographer quality, like staged.
Right.
And I don't want to say it's not photographer quality, because you do take quality pictures. But what I'm saying is that, you know, the commercials where it's all set up and, you know, looking perfect.
Yes.
Well, we all know that anybody serving food is not perfect.
Yeah. Or the milk they're pouring over is glue. It's not really the milk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that
so
kind of thing.
You have real live photos, pictures of and drinks, and you make it fun when you look at on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there's probably been times where you've been to a restaurant and it hasn't been the greatest.
Definitely. Yeah, you do have those times. One of the things I tell people is that I am a food promoter. I'm not a food critic. And that's a little different. So I'm out there to support an industry that struggles day to day. They were struggling long before COVID hit. The restaurant industry is always known for its dynamics of ebb and flow, of variety, of quality, of, you know, people saying, you know, I've been there a lot and I'm done, I'm leaving. You know, there's just a lot of things that go on in the restaurant industry. It's a hard-working industry. And so when I was able to, my sister and I, like I said, we had gone to a restaurant. We had a cup of cappuccino that was beautiful. And I looked at her and said, you know, people take pictures of this stuff and post it on Instagram. She's like, let's do it. She's in marketing. And so she said, let's name it Sip Saver Sisters. She came up with the name. I started doing the pictures. Well, then I looked at my pictures and looked at other people's pictures, and I'm not a photographer, but I started just trying to learn how to do better angle shots. I found an editing app. None of that was hard. And so that's kind of how it grew. But, you know, we're just going to these places and we're eating real food and we're experiencing it and we're able to let these people know what it's like. But then COVID hit and it's like, oh, wow, this is an industry that now really needs help. And so we had restaurants reaching out to us saying, okay, we had to switch from inside dining to curbside to go, family meals, you know, wing packs, all this kind of stuff. And can you somehow show this? Can you lay this out? Can you make it a good picture so that people want to come and now order this from us and pick it up to go?
Absolutely.
And so we went, man, we had to switch fast into that. And but it was awesome because that's kind of when I knew, when the light went on, I was like, oh, now I see this wasn't an accident like we were talking about. There's a purpose here. I'm helping people keep their jobs.
Right.
I'm helping people in an industry that COVID really took it out of it. You know?
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of restaurants that didn't pivot.
Right.
Right. And they are no longer in business.
Very true.
Because they didn't know how to pivot.
Yes.
Or didn't follow somebody that was pivoting, that follow in their footsteps, right?
Yeah.
So if COVID has taught anybody anything in life in general, not just the restaurant industry, all businesses had to figure out how to pivot.
Definitely.
And if they didn't pivot, they're probably either barely hanging on, struggling,
Right.
or they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
And some of those small businesses were probably really, really good. Great restaurants
definitely.
That, you know, you're just not going to
Yeah.
get the flavors, get the drinks, get the whatever it is that they offered, right?
But you might have had people going out of their way to get to you, and now you're not having people go out of their way. So that's going to change that dynamic. But you were really good.
Yeah.
You know, your pho was really good, or your ramen was great, or your tacos were amazing. The other thing, I think, what you said about pivoting, but I think something for any industry, for any of us just as human beings, is we can never become so comfortable that we think we've made it, because you really haven't. And I think that's the thing for restaurants. They have to constantly be reinventing themselves and looking at the market, looking how it's changing. They need to be true to who they are and what their purpose is. But there were some that were kind of on the fringe. They were on the edge. They weren't doing great. COVID hit, and it definitely knocked that last wind out of them.
Oh, wow.
But had they been pivoting even earlier than COVID, then they might have had to pivot again with COVID, but they would have been in a better place to do it. So that's another thing. Just, that's just my business side, having owned my own business. If you're not constantly thinking about where you need to be, not just where you are.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. So
It really does make a big difference. And in trying to figure out how to pivot or where to pivot, find somebody who's in your industry that you can follow and see what they're doing. I always call it, I learned this a long time ago, it's called swipe and deploy. And, you don't have to do exactly, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel either.
Right,
You know, and if somebody's being successful with it, why wouldn't you want to follow similar to what they're doing? Because
Exactly.
don't you want to be successful in your business?
Exactly.
I mean, nobody wants to go bankrupt or go out of business and then owe thousands of dollars of whatever, right? Or have it put up for auction or whatever the case may be.
Well, sorry.
No, go ahead.
With Instagram, one of the things they say, like, comparison, is a killer. And it is. It depends on what you're comparing. But researching what other people are doing, including people in the same business as you, and looking at what they do and what they do well and learning from that is different.
Absolutely.
And that is something I do a lot. And Instagram from social media standpoint, people talk about the negative side of people looking at things and comparing themselves, or something seems unrealistic. But there's also a lot of creativity and ingenuity in Instagram. And a lot of times I look at people's pages that maybe I don't overly like their style, or maybe I don't like the types of food or places they go as much. Maybe some of their statements they make aren't something I'm completely, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't think that way. But I do it because the way they project, the way they put it out there, I'm going to learn something from that. And it's going to make my art, my craft a lot better. And so, and you kind of have to do that. I mean, on Instagram, to keep staying alive. And
Well, sure. I mean, the point is for people to watch, like, and make comments on what you do. And if they don't watch, like, and make comments on what you do, more than 2 words is what I heard. They can't just say great job and then that work for you. They've actually got to make a comment longer than that. Is that correct?
Right. Yes. And engagement, Instagram is all about engagement, what they call engagement. And engagement means likes, saves, comments. And so that's very important. So your followers, you'll see levels of engagement. You know it yourself by the number of likes, saves, comments that you get on pictures. Now, I will say that we are starting to see a decline in that because social media is starting to see this shift and this change. And so, for example, a lot of Instagrammers complain sometimes, my likes are down because of algorithms and changes in, the product shifting, because it's trying to become a business platform, not just a creator platform. But you can still look at your overall, you can still have an overall reach. So for example, I've noticed our likes have been down. A lot of people are talking about that. I'm not ashamed to say that. That doesn't mean we're not reaching people though, because then I looked at our reach, and last month, 92,000 people we reached in a month. So that I was shocked. I was shocked by it.
Awesome.
Yeah, but
That's awesome.
So it doesn't mean that they, just because we didn't see all the likes and all that, people are starting to back off from that a little. But they're still seeing your stuff, and they still are paying attention. So that's a good way to look at how it might be changing. I just don't think people need to get hung up on all the likes. If somebody's starting out with an Instagram or a business, just keep plugging away, keep posting, keep tagging, keep putting new information out there. Don't quit.
Earlier you said you found an app that you used for your pictures too.
Yes.
Can you give that?
Yeah, I don't mind at all. No, I give information out a lot. I don't have anything to hide, and I'm not like I'm definitely
I
a
share
giver.
everything too. People call me and ask me, what is this XYZ? And I'll tell them. I'm not It's not
Yeah.
proprietary. I'd rather share
Definitely.
and let you be successful.
Actually, a friend told me about it. So it's called Snapseed. And Snapseed, it has a little white background with a green leaf. And it's very simple. All you do is it'll connect, open your camera and you can click a lot of photos or just one, and it'll go in there. And then there's simple tools. And you can kind of do a tutorial and you can kind of see, but you can do like brightness, contrast, saturation. And I edit all my photos. I'm not going to lie. Unless I'm in bright, bright light and everything just hit perfectly, I have to edit a little bit because you'll never get some of those great colors, especially like a lot of restaurants I get invited to, they're like, hey, we'd love to have you here. And then they sit me in the darkest corner of the room.
Yeah.
And then they bring me a steak and the steak matches the table.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
just
that
like,
doesn't work, does
so you
it?
take a picture and you're like, well, you can't tell what that is.
Right. So while you were chatting about some of the photos and things that you were taking, I noticed recently that you actually take pictures of the staff. And I thought that was pretty cool because people like to see who's behind the scenes or who's making my cake or who's making my food.
Right.
The waitress, so on and so forth. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so one of the things that happened early on is my sister and I were at a lunch and we met a woman who had escaped Hurricane Katrina with her young son. She had been in an abusive relationship and she ended up just sharing her life story at lunch with us and felt very comfortable doing so. But was talking about how coming here and the restaurant she was working in and the owners, how great they were to her and took her in and gave her a chance and a job when she really had nothing to show for herself. And so that's when it kind of clicked for us. Not only is the food and drink beautiful, but the stories behind it are really cool too. The people who work there and serve. So not every post do we capture that, but when we get a chance to meet the people behind the scenes, like last night I met this beautiful girl, Berlin was her name, and yes, she was named after the Berlin Wall, and she served us, and she told us her story from North Carolina. And then Deja was the cake maker of this amazing cake, which you have to follow me to find out about. And so we took pictures of them and told a little bit of, hey, this is the person who's behind this. So
I think that's great. Anytime you can humanize it, I think people love that. So showing that behind the scenes, the waiter, the cook, the baker, the whatever, I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Well, how do you hold your phone?
Oh, yeah. So when you take pictures for Instagram, you want to take your pictures vertically because that's the way that the app syncs. I mean, it's the way it syncs into the app. And it's also the way when you do stories. So let me back up a little bit. So Instagram is basically, it started as a picture app. That's all it was. Take a picture of something beautiful, you, dog, cat, put it out there. And you would hashtag. And it was a big joke. What are hashtags? So you literally put the hashtag symbol, dog. And there are pages out there with those hashtags dedicated to it. And then that dog picture might get put on that hashtag dog page and 1 million people could see it, or maybe 2. Don't bank on your hashtags getting you 1 million followers because that's not the case. But then Instagram decided we want to have something a little different, so they put something up on your page called Stories. And it is truly a whole vertical screen of the picture, and there's little tabs on top with letters like you can type text on top, and you just have to play with this. You're not going to break anything. Just play with it and do it. You can add music. So I might add, like somebody asked me to do burritos, and it was their summer nights burrito extravaganza. So I put a picture of a big burrito here. I put the name of the place, and then I added music in the good old summertime. And I can't sing, but that was like what I put on there.
Fun.
So anyway, so you can do things like that. And then the latest thing that has happened is Reels, R-E-E-L-S. And if you speak it in your phone, it spells it R-E-A-L-S, which it should have been called because it's real. But Reels are kind of I shouldn't say it, but they're a knockoff of another platform out there that I won't mention. And it's basically Instagram's ways of doing little videos. And they're short. They're usually 15 or 30-second vignettes. It will edit them and put it all together for you. You don't have to be a master editor.
Nice.
You can edit, and I have learned to, but you can just put things in there, put music over it, and boom, 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 it'll pop. Nice. And so, so that's pretty much the platform. And it's not hard to learn. It's just really not hard to learn.
Well, you just got some gold there from a specialist that works IG and Instagram, and she's been doing it for a while. But, anytime you can get tips and tricks from somebody who's been there, done that, I hope you learned and picked up some of these tricks, because I certainly have. But now we're going to take another little break, and after the break, we get to go into the treasure chest. I can't wait to see what she brought. Can you? We'll see you soon. Okay, we are back at Hidden Gems of DFW with Allyson Johnson with Sip Saver Sisters, and we are going to show her gem, her treasure that she wants to share with you. So here we go.
All right, this is probably going to take both of us.
All right. Okay. So we have
a
cup, 2 cups,
2 mugs,
2 mugs, and we have
a picture of my sister and I. And so you want me to tell what this represents, right?
Yeah. What does this represent?
So
what is this gem and this
my sister
treasure?
and I are the ones who started Sip Saver Sisters together. And it was because of our relationship and going to lunch regularly and her getting me out of a funk I was in, so to speak, that all this even came about. And she truly is my best friend, and she's someone who she's just an encourager. I mean, Lisa, her name is Lisa Barger, and she works in commercial real estate full time. So that's why she can't run around all these places and eat like I get to do. But she is someone who, no matter what's happening, she will tell you, you can do this. And here's how you can do this. Or if a door completely shuts, she'll say, that doesn't matter. It's shut for a reason. There's another one about to open. She's just one of the most positive, loving, forgiving, great people I've ever known. And she's always just supported me and I'm her little sister by a few years. So she's always just supported me. So now the mugs are representative. I lived in Colorado and moved back here. And this wonderful couple, created these and gave them to me before I left. But why I brought them is because, again, symbolically, I had no idea that when I got here, it was going to be because of a cup of cappuccino. It's not quite a cappuccino mug, but because of a mug of cappuccino at a restaurant with my sister, that this whole page would happen. So it was kind of weird when I looked at these cups one day and thought, that's really cool, the gift that these people gave me. And within 6 months, I'm now over a cup of cappuccino doing food writing and blogging.
Well, when I lived in Colorado, Coloradans, some of them, I lived in Colorado Springs, in old Colorado City, probably had some of the best pottery stores around. And the attention to detail in some, I still have a lot of my pieces. I couldn't.
Do you? I love pottery. I love pottery.
I just couldn't get rid of them because I just love them. And of course, I live there, so it's a memory, right?
Right.
But they make some of the best pottery I've ever seen in my entire life.
They do. And a lot of people are, I had 2 different friends that were potters. I mean, they had their own little studio, like in a garage or upstairs office, something like that. They do pottery. And so a lot of people are into that there. And I also love when I go to restaurants and they have actually bought this handmade pottery. I know it's probably more expensive for them and in an industry that things get broken real easy, but it just adds such a neat effect to the food to see that handmade pottery and those hand or glass blown glasses.
Absolutely.
Stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of reiterate what her gem is and what I'm hearing, and I'm not sure if you're hearing it, but her gem is her sister. and the support that she gets from her sister, and being in Colorado with these special mugs. So the gem really is, who do you have in your life that supports you no matter what? No matter how stupid the idea is or how great the idea is, no matter what, supports you. Do you have somebody that is going to be there 24/7 for you? Everyone in this world needs that person. So who is that person for you? You need to find somebody. And if you need somebody, I'm here. Allison's here. We'll be that accountability partner to help you through your struggles, your challenges, because that's what this show is all about, is trying to help you grow your own business. And sometimes when you're asking people, your family, decisions to be made, and they've never done it, they've never been in it, you're asking the wrong people. So if you share with somebody who does something similar to you, or if you need some help, find somebody. There's people out there that will help you through whatever you need to get through, because
Definitely.
I don't have sisters. I only have brothers. I don't know what it's like to have a sister. Only you do, or other people do. But it's important that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be a boss.
Yeah,
It could
boss.
be, who knows who that person is for you. But as long as they hold you accountable to do the things that you want to do, then that's the most important thing. So
Definitely.
the gem point is her sister, or finding that somebody that can help you through. So we've got just a few minutes left. What other tip or item would you like to add to that?
Well, one of the things you said about just finding people who support you, I totally agree with. And I would say that it is very important to have people in your life who support you and understand you and really listen and hear you. And sometimes we can have people in our life that we think support us, but really they're hurting us more than we know. They're really not supporting. And just because people go with us places, just because people pick up the phone when we call, doesn't mean they're really supporting us in the way we need. So I tell a lot of people, listen to your gut and your instinct. If you're with someone and very quickly you sense like there's something just not right here most of the time, then you need to check that out and see what it is. But definitely people in your life, and positive people who keep you positive, people who focus. There's a lot of difficulty in our world right now, and it breaks my heart, and it's really hard. But some of us have got, in fact, most of us have got to keep this world moving in the right direction. We got to stay positive, we got to move forward, and we got to make it a better place for those who come behind us. So that would be my second thing, just stay positive.
Yeah, one step at a time, baby steps. One foot in front of the other. That's what I've been doing for the last year. It's been a challenge, but I'm doing it. So you just keep on going, keep on keeping on, right? Isn't that a saying way back
Exactly.
in the 60s? Sorry, I showed you how old I am. So Allyson, tell us how people can get in touch with you. Let's say a restaurateur or a restaurant owner is watching this today and desperately needs your help, or just whoever they had doing it isn't doing a very good job. Tell us how people can reach you.
It's so easy. So if you go to Instagram, just put in SIP, S-I-P, Savor, S-A-V-O-R, Sisters, S-I-S-T-E-R-S. So SIP, Savor, Sisters. And you will find us. We're the only IG handle like that. And then when you get to our page, you follow us, which we would love to have more and more followers, because that just helps us help the restaurants even more, because that's what people look at. How many followers do you have? Right now, we're close to about 16,000, which is exciting and it's huge. And I never thought I'd be here. And I'm very, very thankful to everyone. But as we grow even bigger, we can do bigger things. If a business or a restaurant would like to find us, there's a contact button on that homepage, and that has my email. And so they can reach me through that, or they can DM me, which stands for direct message. They can DM me and message me on the message button, and I can respond there.
That's great. Well, I am so excited for today. It was somebody new, somebody different, something that is kind of out of my realm, but I'm learning it as best that I can. And I thought it was important for me to bring something new to you guys to share with you. And Instagram, I know, has been around for a long time, but learning it and using it, maybe there's a lot of us like myself out there that doesn't know how to do it. So she can not only help you, but follow her and watch what she does, because it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for listening at Hidden Gems of DFW, and we will see you next time. Have a phenomenal day. Thanks for watching and listening to Hidden Gems of DFW with Chris O'Connor. Don't forget to subscribe. Feel free to connect with me. I love hearing your successes.